City of Brass has had many different artworks since its debut in Arabian Nights, and across time its style crystallized into this distinct scene composition. But did you know that in Eternal Masters they released a version of Wasteland that shows the grim fate of City of Brass, being destroyed by Wasteland's effect? I just love the little stories MTG artwork tells. Merch, like, comment, subscribe. Hello, we are back with episode 12 of Back to Basics, a show where I take EDH commanders and try to find the perfect basic lands to fit them. I love seeing someone sit down with some beautiful basic lands, but something I love even more is seeing how well those lands match their commanders. One quick note before we begin. I like to give the artists credit for their artworks, but I may not pronounce their names perfectly. I'll try my best, but please forgive me and correct me if that ever happens. First on the list, we've got Kykar Sigardian Emissary, who I found interesting because he is a green and white colored commander that doesn't prominently feature nature in his artwork. Things that drew me to him was the brightness of the sky behind him and the spiked spires in the background. That, coupled with the low focus on foliage and greenery, directs my choices to more urban environments for matching basics with him. So take a look at this Plains from Ravnica, illustrated by Anthony S. Waters, that matches the spires and overall brightness of the composition, and this forest from War for the Spark, illustrated by Titus Lunter, that also matches. I feel like these serve to extend the cityscape that Kykar implies in his artwork, and the buildings match surprisingly well for being from two different planes. For a second pairing, I went deeper into the city as it were, and really focused on continuing to find buildings that match the cathedral roof that Kykar is standing on. So take a look at this Plains from Ravnica Allegiance, illustrated by Titus Lunter, and this forest illustrated by Yaitan Zana, also from Ravnica Allegiance, which serve to really accentuate the cathedral spires and spiky urban atmosphere. Second up, we've got Kykar, Wind's Fury from M20. Kykar is a character that has little to no backstory, and no lore has been given of Kykar's background or plane of origin. However, I feel like there are very few sets that focus on the Jeskai colors like the Tarkir block, so I wanted to start there with this beautiful set of lands. So take a look at this Plains from Khazad Tarkir, this island as well, and this mountain, all designed by Florian de Jessencourt. The thing I like most about these is that they depict the ancient Jeskai temples and exemplify that Jeskai color palette in the process. It also adds a lot that they are shot from high up, which matches Kykar's area as well. Now for a second pairing, I wanted to focus a little bit more on Kykar's artwork, and I couldn't help but notice how the sphere of flame in Kykar's hand is actually the focal point of the image. So I went digging around for artworks that depict that spiritual spherical shape in them somehow. So take a look at this Plains from Throne of Eldraine, illustrated by Howard Lyon, this mountain from New Phyrexia, illustrated by Tomasz Jadruszek, and this island from Zendikar, illustrated by Véronique Magnod. I feel like this was a rare opportunity to focus on the flight of the spirit creature in Kykar's hand from basic land to basic land, which I thought would be really cool to play in game. Next up, we've got an awesome one. It's Marrow Gnawer, who has an art style that really sets it apart from other commander artworks. The shredded and heavy line work, standing in such sharp contrast to the background, gives the scene a bleached, high contrast, low saturation point of view, and the lines of the grasslands behind him form an almost lattice work of slashes across the composition. These are genuinely very rare art style directions to try to find in basic lands, so I had to do some digging in order to find ones that matched his style. However, I was able to find 3 of them that continued the motifs that he started off. Check out this swamp from Invasion, illustrated by Ron Spencer, this swamp, also from Invasion, illustrated by Ron Spencer, and this full art swamp, illustrated by Pig Hands, that all really match the extreme line work to a T. Now for any who purchased the Year of the Rat Secret Lair, there is a version of Marrow Gnawer that is just so remarkably different from the last one that I felt it needed its own treatment. The bright cartoon styling, along with the bright pinks and reds of the food, the decorative lamps, and the ears of Marrow Gnawer himself, give this land a unique treatment that should be considered. And while I don't think I exactly nailed it, I feel like this swamp from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty fits closer than most, even though historically the inspiration doesn't match, with Neon Dynasty emulating Japanese artwork and Marrow Gnawer emulating the Chinese zodiac. I also ventured to take a look at this swamp from Throne of Eldraine, illustrated by Paul Scott Canavan, that I feel like while it doesn't match the positive tone of Marrow Gnawer, it really strikes all of the color notes that they're trying to display in their artwork. Fourth on the list, we've got Ayara, First of Locthwain, who ended up being tougher than I initially realized. In her artwork, there is a pale indigo color along with a lavish castle in the background that I really wanted to exemplify in her artwork, but I was unable to find a single swamp that perfectly matched both the color and the styling of Ayara. But maybe that's my perfectionism talking, so I'll let you be the judge. Take a look at this swamp from the Orso of Guild kit illustrated by Jen Ravenna, which I think captures at least an essence of her blue, while also showing off an opulent castle-shaped structure. Or this swamp from Magic Origins illustrated by Larry Elmore, which I feel like perfectly hits the color notes of Ayara. Or finally this swamp from Unsanctioned illustrated by John Avon, which I really enjoy and I think would look excellent in multiples. All three can work well for her, especially if you have just a single copy repeated throughout the deck. And finally, we've got a partner pairing, Reyhan Last of the Abzan, but paired with Toggo Goblin Weaponsmith. Now the matching thing that I was able to see between them was the use of the night sky blue in the background of Reyhan and in the background of Toggo. Couple that with the bright reds outlining Reyhan's armor, the themes of red and blue are very apparent in this pair's color identity. So I focused on that with this set of three. First, this swamp from Commander 2016, this forest from Ikoria illustrated by Yang Hao Han, and this mountain from Jumpstart illustrated by Titus Lunter. All three of these I feel match the deep contrasted blues and bright reds that are shown off in these artworks, and it just shows that even unmatching partner pairings aesthetically can still be brought together with a strong enough color palette. But there you have it, 5 more commanders sorted for which basic lands I think match them best. But I want to see what you think. Tell me which commanders you'd like me to try and pick out basic lands for. Comment below and let me know, and have a great day.